Namaskar. Good afternoon, everyone. We welcome you to the interactive session on pursuing LL.M abroad and working as a corporate lawyer in a foreign law firm being organized by Symbiosis Law School, Noida. We are delighted to inform that Mr. Abhijit Narayan, head India desk and Middle East desk for Continental Europe, Orrick, is the resource person. It is an opportunity for me to introduce today's resource person. Mr. Abhijit is the head of Orrick's India desk and Middle East desk for Continental Europe. He regularly advises India and Middle East based clients on their investments and other business activities in Europe and the USA. He advises on a broad range of M&A transactions. Before joining Orrick in 2019, Mr. Abhijit worked for Jyoti Sagar Associates in India, Slaughter and May in the United Kingdom, and Hegler Müller in Germany. Mr. Abhijit Narayan is an alumnus of New York University and Delhi University, respectively. Mr. Abhijit is ambassador of German-India Startup Exchange Program. He is also member of Society of Asian Lawyers and member India Business Forum at Frankfurt. Without much ado, I would request Ms. Kritika Ramya, who will moderate today's session, to explain the rules of housekeeping to the August gathering. Over to you, Ms. Kritika.
Good afternoon to all of you. Welcome Mr. Abhijit Narayan to this interactive session on pursuing LL.M abroad and working as a corporate lawyer in a foreign law firm. Given your expertise in working not just in one country, but then you've been working in 4 different countries and experience in 4 different countries, I am certain that the students are going to learn a lot from your experience in working in 4 different countries. SIRT has insisted for this information is for all the participants, that basic rules of housekeeping is that SIRT has insisted that this particular session will be an interactive session wherein Sir will be speaking for the first 15 to 20 minutes. Post that, he will be taking up questions from the students. The questions can, of course, relate to either your interest in pursuing LL.M abroad, the process for that, and how proper selection of institutions and proper courses for if you wish to have a career in corporate law. Further, while the students after the 15-20 minutes, the students can raise their hand icon option and ask the question. While asking the questions, we request all the participants to switch on their video mode, unmute themselves, and then ask the question, which will be answered by our resource persons today. And further, we'll be again taking up another question. So without further much ado, I would request Mr. Abhijit Narayan to commence with the session today. Good afternoon, sir. Sir, if you could just unmute yourself, sir.
Thank you, Kritika, and thank you, Dr. Ramanle, for a very kind and generous introduction. I'll probably not be using my 15 to 20 minutes of monologue. I'd rather prefer more interactive session with what I have been told, specifically with Dr. Ramanle, that we have a very bright bunch of students on the session. So I'm very excited about having this discussion. But broadly, as a law student, when I think back many years back, when I was a law student, the good thing is that today law as a legal profession, it offers many opportunities. You can pursue a career in litigation, you can join a corporate firm, you can go abroad, work in international organizations. So the points that I'll be talking about today, I mean, this is what has worked for me and this is what I thought was the right path. But I think Dr. Ramanle and Kritika, you will also agree with me that there is no one way of succeeding in the legal profession. There are different ways and there are different opportunities. But I think one has to be very mindful in terms of what we're looking at, what you want to achieve in your career. And this becomes especially more important during current times. And I can relate to the anxiety or the nervousness or the concerns that law students today have at your law school, because I finished my LLM in 2008, and 2008, if I were to use the word, is being celebrated still as the birthday of global recession. So I can understand that the kind of anxiety that I went through, because when I finished my LLM, the idea was to always work on the Wall Street and at a good law firm. And that did not really happen because 2008 was a very difficult time to get a job in the US. And I did this very sensible thing of packing my bags and coming back to India. And that is where I started my career. But even then, it's not like if you have to alter your plan, it's still not possible to achieve what you want to achieve. For me, what was very important was to work at some stage abroad at a very good law firm. And I think God has been kind, because after I worked here with a very good law firm in India, I got the opportunity of moving abroad. And yeah, it's been over 8 years that I have been living in Europe. And India, London, Germany, New York. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, the life has been God has been very kind to me in terms of the opportunities and the journey that I've had so far. And each time I come back to India or otherwise, because of the technology, especially because it has become much more easy during the pandemic times, I think it's very important for us to engage. And it's important to do so not only because it's the knowledge sharing is good, but it's also important because I believe that each one of us can learn something from the other. And as much as this is being shared, this is being positioned as somewhat where I'm just providing my knowledge, but I think each one of us can learn from something from the other persons. So I'm also happy and I'm looking forward to learning from the students during this session.
Right, sir. So should we just skip to the question, sir? Any particular experience that you would like to share?
One request, and
yes, sir.
Blame it on my working abroad or studying abroad. I'm not very comfortable being addressed sir. Just address me on my first name basis. I always joke, with especially with the law student, that you can address me as sir the day I get my knighthood from the UK. But until then, it's just fine.
Right. Okay, Abhijit, we are eagerly waiting for that as well. So, all right, without much ado, students, if you have questions, because, as heading international cell also, a number of times I receive emails from students with respect to, selecting a particular law school. And interestingly, Abhijit, they have a question with regard to the country as well. So now with respect to timelines, they are always that maybe UK is beneficial, or, European countries, let's say Germany has become a hub for LLMs, from Indian students. And now with respect to US also, so what is your take? I mean, having worked and studied in USA, so what is your take? Whether, with respect to, again, I understand that it is again individual choice per se, but if you were to advise the students about this.
Happy to answer that, Kritika, but as lawyers, I think it's our duty to always give disclaimers. So this is my disclaimer. Whatever I'm saying in my personal capacity. I'm not representing or just saying on the behalf of my firm. So in terms of the choice of country, I think a lot depends in terms of what is it that you want to pursue. So if you were to pursue something in corporate law, my strong advice has always been, and I've been saying that for many years, and having myself gone through the process, USA, no country actually beats USA in terms of the exposure that you get in corporate law. And when I say USA, I'm not just talking about any city in the US, because the choice of law school is a multi-pronged choice, because you have to not only look at the ranking of the law school, you have to see what are the other firms around that, other institutions where you can do an internship and hopefully get absorbed as a full-time lawyer. So my recommendation will be that if you want to pursue a career in corporate law, and that's something that I'm very familiar with being a corporate lawyer myself, then USA. And in USA, you have to choose one of the bigger cities. So New York was something very important for me because it's the financial center of the world. Still continues to be a very important financial center. Then other cities that you can look at, I think DC is nice. Los Angeles is good. So, I mean, these are important cities. Chicago, I think, is interesting. It's becoming more and more important. But if somebody were to, specialize in, say, litigation or go there and come back and work in, say, litigation or arbitration, I would suggest the top law school in the UK, for instance, Oxford, Cambridge. What I believe is that in most cases, Kritika, I think you would agree with me that you don't do too many LLMs. Probably in life you just do one. I know a few people who have done at least two LLMs in different fields for different reasons, but normally you'll do one LLM. So it's very important that the law school that you do it from, that is by far the best. And I say that because each one of us who decide to pursue LLM, there is one major objective, and that is to work abroad, or use that LLM to gain into a very good law firm in India. The problem today is with the huge number of lawyers, being produced in India at good law school, really good law school, and some decent law school, the competition that the law students today have to face is enormous. And I'm not saying that because I want to make somebody more nervous, but it's the harsh reality. You have so many law students coming, so many lawyers joining the job market, so to say. And if we were to talk again, going back to corporate side, if we were to talk about the top corporate firms in India, say there are about 15, 20 law firms, okay? And you do the math that each law firm today, I mean, even in a normal year, this is still a pandemic year and not many law firms will be hiring a lot, that if each law firm were to hire, say, about 30 lawyers, okay? And we're talking about, say, 20 decent law firms, and that itself is a big number. Each law firm were to hire about, say, 30 students per year, we're talking about 600 lawyers being inducted per year. And you know how many lawyers are joining the job market every year. So it's just, the system is not geared to absorb so many law students. So it's very important that from a very early stage, you have to be very serious about your profession. Dr. Ramani told me that a lot of first years have also joined. And I think it's a very good sign. It's a good sign because it's never too early to get started. I mean, as much as this is college time and it's a lot of fun, I wouldn't say that, even in my case, I was always studying and, that was the only thing. I mean, you have to have your share of fun, live your age. But I think if you keep the larger picture in mind, I think it will definitely help you in your journey.
Right. All right, Abhijit. So students, if you have any question with respect to it, again, first year learners, fourth year, fifth year, who are in the process of, let's say, fourth and fifth year learners who are in the process of applying for, for an LLM and in their application process also, of course, raise your hands and sir is here to assist her. I mean, how often do you come across someone right from, someone who's done their LLM working abroad? So of course, if you have any questions, you all can raise and ask sir. Yes, students.
I see some hands going up.
Right. Kabir, can you unmute and open your video as well?
Am I audible?
Yes, you are, but you're still not visible.
Morning, sir.
Okay.
Am I visible?
Yes, you are.
Good morning, sir. Sorry, not sir. Good morning, Abhijit. I just basically had a question regarding the essays which you have to write. Could you give us some insight as to the whole process, as to what should we focus on our essays and the whole ordeal?
I mean, I think, Kabir, you'll agree with me that, it's very difficult to just put one line in terms of what the essay expectation is. A very good starting point when you're writing your SOP for any top law school is to see what exactly are they expecting in the application. Each law school requirement when it comes to LLM is very different. So unless until you cater and design your application keeping in mind what is expected from that law school, I don't think you will get it. So what I'm trying to say is that you cannot copy and paste. I mean, when I was applying, I also applied to many law schools. You cannot just apply to one law school and expect that they will take you in. You have to apply, but start early, because if you don't start early, you start late. And that is the time when we have this tendency of just copy pasting and sending it across. Believe me, whether it is job application or applying for a law school, LLM, if you are copy pasting, the person who's reading, believe me, that person is smart enough to understand that this is a copy pasted application for LLM or for job. It's very easy, because these are professionals and this is what they do. This is their job. They see a lot of applications. So it's important to do that. I think when you're writing the application, you have to focus on many things. A, why that law school? B, why that particular course? C, why that particular city? D, what is it that you plan to do after you do the course, etc., etc. as thorough as possible you do that, the higher your chances of getting in. I hope that's answers
Yes, sir.
your
Yes, sir. Of course, sir. I'm just used to calling the resource person,
question.
sir.
It's
So
okay. It's okay.
apologies for that. And I just wanted to ask one more thing. Do you advise us to first get some form of experience and then apply for LLMs, or is it all right if we start doing it right after college? So what is your take on that?
You know, it's kind of irony that even though I finished my LLB and then I jumped ahead and went for my LLM, and Dr. Ravandle and I, we were discussing this, and he suggests gaining experience and then pursuing LLM. And Dr. Ravandle, I actually agree with that. And more so because of the kind of pandemic situation that we're in, and you know, it will take at least 2-3 years to emerge out of it. You know, I mean, there's a lot of recovery to be done. We are all still being affected by it. My recommendation as of today would be, please by all means pursue and get good experience at really good law firms, at least 2-3 years, and then go for LLM, because it will do many things. A, you know, unless until your parents are very rich and you have a lot of money to spend, you will do some savings 2-3 years. Okay. B, when you're applying, there is a higher chance of getting a scholarship if you have some experience. C, when you complete your LLM, I think the idea must be to work abroad at least for some years before you come back to India, because you must have spent in the local currency. It's expensive. So you improve the chance of your getting hired if you've actually got some experience in India. And I think a very important point, you know, just 2 days back, I was talking to this guy. He's also from Delhi University. He's currently a partner at SNR, and he was my 2-batch senior at CLC. He did his LLM from New York University, worked at Skadden, very good law firm in the US, and now he's working at SNR as a partner. And he was saying a very relevant point, and I think goes to why even Dr. Ravandle was saying that it's important to work for some time. It's because what you're learning today will be different from what you will be doing as a lawyer, because this is a lot, you know, focused on theory, and theory is very important because you cannot build a platform as a lawyer if you do not understand the theory, the fundamentals. It's so important. When you do that and when you work and then again go for LLM, believe me, your understanding about several of, if not all, the topics of corporate law will be a lot better than somebody who has not worked. So you will not spend too much time in catching up. You know, you'll immediately connect, okay, this makes sense. Okay, this is how it is. And the earlier that you learn, the better you have a grasp on. I'm telling you, you'll be ahead in terms of the competition.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Kabir.
Yes, anyone else? All right, Akash, can you unmute?
Good afternoon, Abhijit. Good to see you again.
Akash, good to see you.
Audible clearly?
Yes, yes.
Yes, so my question is, already a person has asked about a work profile that you need to maintain to get into a good institute for a LLM. However, I was really curious to know this, that down the line in your work experience, if you figure out that you might be interested in some other line of practice, then would it be wise to again take more few years, give it a chance and explore something else and then pursue an LLM? Like if you work for like 3 to 4 years more and then figure out that yes, this is the particular course that I would like to pursue further education in.
Absolutely, that is absolutely possible. I know people who have pursued time in litigation and then switched to corporate and vice versa. So if you decide that after pursuing, you know, spending some time working either as a corporate lawyer or as a litigation lawyer, you want to pursue LLM, that is absolutely possible. The important thing that one must keep in mind, Akash, is that the career that you will be in, you know, you will be probably 23, 20, I don't know, 24 by the time you start your career. You will have at least 36 years of working, probably longer. I mean, lawyers don't retire easily, you know, I mean, they continue to argue till I think 80 these days. So you have a very long time to pursue your career. So 1-2 years here and there is not a really loss. And what you learn in corporate will be helpful in litigation and vice versa. What you help in litigation, trust me, I have done a lot of internship during my law student days, and I'm pursuing my career as a corporate lawyer. A lot of it that I learned during my litigation exposure is useful because you can anticipate that when I'm drafting a certain transaction document, I can anticipate that what can go wrong and where my client will end up in the court.
Yes, sir, because since I have been trying to make a career in international trade law right now, but my work experience now, I am kind of confused also at this stage. So even I have been giving some thought to corporate law, and there's no better person to talk to about it than you.
No, Akash, I'll tell you, sometimes people think that being confused is a bad sign. I don't think so. Being confused means that you're actually thinking about something.
Right.
Maybe you're thinking about too many things, but at your stage, it's important to think at different things because it's just too early for you to know for sure that this is what is going to be best for you. I did the same thing. I was interning in different places. I went for litigation. I went for a corporate firm. I did my internship at JSA. Assisted the Solicitor General of India that time. He's no more. Just wanted to understand what works for me. And then I decided, this is what works and this is what I'll pursue. And of course, the money is good, so I like it. I'm kidding about it.
Just one last question. I wanted to understand from you what would be the difference in pursuing an LLM from India or international institutes? Like, how much bigger of a difference does it make?
Kritika, do not hate me for saying this, but frankly speaking, with all due respect, and this is again absolutely my personal opinion, I feel it's so much better to pursue LLM from abroad for a variety of reasons. It's very important. I mean, if you are pursuing LLM, do it from abroad. Simple answer to that.
Thank you so much. That's all from my side.
Akash, you are part of that team that won the GNLU competition,
Yes,
right?
sir.
And you're supposed to intern with us, hopefully next month.
Yes, the next month, yeah.
So be prepared. We'll give you a tough time.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Neha, can you unmute?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Neha this side. I'm a fifth-year learner. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. Thank you so much for this enriching session, sir. So my doubt was, like you prescribed that, 2-3 years, it's better to take a work experience and then go abroad for LLM. But so I'm also planning to start my career through a corporate firm, working in a corporate firm in India, and then going abroad for LLM after 2-3 years because I would want to pursue LLM. But then what factors do you take into consideration making that decision? Because obviously it is difficult leaving behind a job and then going for an LLM with no certainty that when you return back you might have a job or not have a job. So when is it advisable to make that move? Are there any factors to be considered while taking that decision?
You have to take into consideration a number of factors. If you have a great career going on at a certain law firm that you'll be joining, it is indeed risky that you're taking a jump and you do not know whether that LLM will help you to make a quantum leap, so to say, in your career. But in life, if you're looking for certainty, there will be very few instances in your life when you're certain about something. It's just not possible. So it is something that we all want. I wish I know exactly what I'm doing tomorrow or what I'll do in the next 5 years, etc., etc. But it's just not there. So sometimes you have to, what I would say, take calculated risk. If you do not want to take risk, you will not gain much. You'll have to take certain risk. I can give an example. When I got my offer to join this extremely nice firm in Germany about 8 years back, I spoke to my partner and I said, I have this job, so I have to quit. She said, fine, quit next month. So I quit in the month of July. And for 2 months, my visa had not come through for Germany. So I was still waiting for my visa to come. And if for whatever reason Germany had refused my visa, then I would not have a visa, I would not have a job, and I would have had to apply for different other Indian law firms to get a job. But those are the risks. I mean, this is very subjective. What is your risk appetite? And I think there is always a thin line between taking some amount of risk and being totally foolish. So as long as you know where that line is for you, I think you should be fine. But Yeah, I mean, there are many factors to be considered. I mean, for instance, I know somebody when I was leaving the firm, JSA, many years back. One of my colleagues also left the firm that year, and he went on to pursue his LLM from Colombia, but he told his partner, our same boss actually, that he wants to go there for LLM and then come back. And now that guy came back some years back. He's a partner at JSA. That's probably a good idea that you can convey if that is one of your plans to say that I want to go there, have gain some exposure. And most of the partners, especially the partners who have actually studied abroad or worked abroad, will appreciate that you're being frank and being honest in terms of what your career plan is. But
So
if
just to
you're looking
follow,
for absolute certainty, I mean it's a wish. I mean it's very difficult to have that.
sure, sir. So just a follow-up question, how important?
Abhijit.
Yeah, Abhijit, how important it is for the application that you require these research papers? What if you don't have any? Is there a certain requirement for having research papers? Do you have to write them for your application, or it's okay if you don't have any?
I mean, it's okay if you don't have research paper, but I think what will be also important is that you have excellent grades, good internships, good moot court competition, maybe a good few publications, etc., etc. If you do not have those many, just imagine that I am the person who will be looking at the application for a certain law school. Okay, I have your application. I have Kritika's application where she has worked for many years, has done a lot of more internships, research, etc., etc. And you do not have any of those. So of course, take her application. It's as simple as that. So again, the whole concept that we are dealing with a lot of competition is there. So the better your application is, the higher is the chance for you to get selected. And the idea is not, Neha, the idea is not just to get admission into a law school. The idea is that you get an admission and hopefully also get some scholarship. Because bear in mind that all these courses, especially in the US, they are exorbitantly expensive. Not just expensive. And I think the last time I checked, it's 60,000 plus. And that $60,000 is just the tuition fee. Add another, say, 15,000, whatever, depending on your lifestyle, 15,000 of living costs. So you can imagine $70,000-$80,000. That's a lot. That is why I think it's important that I can tell you that I'm now seeing, and I think probably I can take a bit of credit for that. I'm seeing a lot of Indian students coming to Germany or other countries in Europe, continental Europe specifically, to pursue LLM. It's not easy. It's a different legal system. Germany has a civil law system. We have in India, we have a common law system, but it's just about thinking out of the box. You can come do your LLM. The LLM from most of the continental European countries is not very expensive. It's not like the US where it's super expensive. So this less expensive. And Germany, for instance, allows you 18 months, up to 18 months to stay in the country and look for a job. Call it as a job search visa. It's much easier to get a permanent resident status. You get it in three years after you start working. So those are the advantages that people should consider. So earlier it was easy for us, just to think about just US and UK. But now, there are so many different countries. And although I guess a lot of us would prefer working in law firm, I always do that. But you can also work in-house in different international companies which have a lot of operations in India. I see some of these guys who have come recently. They have completed their LLMs, say from Germany or Netherlands, and they're now working as in-house counsels for companies which have operations in India. So that's something that should be pursued. The problem with UK right now, as much as I am a fan of some of the good law schools there, is that at least as of now, and it has been the case for the last 1-2 years, is that if you pursue LLM from there, no matter where, which law school, unless you have a job immediately after you complete the course, you will have to come back to India. They don't allow you to stay back and look for a job.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Veronica, can you unmute? Veronica.
Good afternoon, sir. Am I audible?
Loud and clear, Veronica.
Sir, I just wanted to know that if I take up LLM, not necessarily in corporate law, but probably in some another field, and I wish to change and come back here and go for judiciary or something, so would that be helpful? As in, like, my LLM degree would be like some extra point or something that could help me with it or not?
I think it depends on who is taking your interview, and depends on how important they see your LLM. But generally, it will help because see, LLM is done for a variety of reasons. One is people look for a job abroad, which is what I wanted to do, and that is what I'm doing now. The other is that, and I think it's a point that has to be emphasized, is that when you're pursuing LLM from good law school, you learn a lot. It gives you different perspective. You get a lot of exposure. You interact with people from different nationalities. It does wonder to your personality. And all those attributes, when you apply for judiciary, I think it should be welcomed. Somebody who has had the exposure of studying abroad and interacting with such bright legal minds abroad should be welcomed. That will definitely go to your advantage. I don't know how many points you will get, but I think definitely it will give you an edge over your other people who are taking the judiciary exam that year. And just that is the interview part. But even when you're writing, I think your ability to analyze will become much more sharp.
Ronika, you're still on mute. Is there anything else that you wish to ask?
No, sir, thank you.
Welcome around.
Okay, Abhijit, can you unmute?
I am unmuted.
Oh, not you, Abhijit. There's another Abhijit. We have Abhijit Chaudhary.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi.
So,
before you jump to your question, one important thing that not a very important thing, but something that I liked is that many of you, and Dr. Ravandi, I was saying that yesterday when we spoke, have already reached out to me on LinkedIn and connect, and I thought that's a great thing. It's a very important place. It's a very useful tool to get connected with people in your field. So yeah, by all means, I welcome all the connections. So, Mr. Chaudhary, please.
yes, sir. So my question is that could you tell us a little about what is the procedure for applying, like when we finally decide to apply for a college? So what exactly, like you told us about the SOP. So what else?
So I think a far more important question is, Abhijit, is that before you get to the stage of applying, what it is that you have to do? And as I was saying, you have to do so many things.
Yes.
In terms of what is the procedure, each law school has its own procedure.
All right.
So somebody will ask for a detailed resume, detailed CV. Someone would say, okay, fine, just give me 250 words of your SOP. So I think it will be difficult for me to answer in terms of the procedure for different law schools, because as you know, every law school has its own procedure. But broadly, the procedure is basically they will ask for a SOP, your CV or resume. And it's important to bear in mind the difference between the CV or resume. They cannot, unfortunately, it is very often used interchangeably, but they mean very different things. Two recommendations. So if you're working, preferably the recommendation should come from somebody that you're working for. If you're still a law student and you're not actually work full time, then it should come from somebody you have done your internship with, or your professors. And of course, your grades. That's very important.
All right, sir. So I have one more question. So like if I aim to do an LLM and to find a job abroad, and if for some reason I have to come back to India, so do the Indian law firms recognize and give importance to LLMs, or do they don't really matter to them?
Since I've given my disclaimer, so the answer is no, they don't really. It doesn't really matter to them.
All right.
What they will do is, even though they like it, they like it. I know that most of the partners, especially as I was saying, people who have worked abroad or studied abroad, they will value it.
Okay.
When I was being interviewed, the two partners, they had both done their LLMs from the US. So, most of the time in the interview, they were not asking me difficult questions, but they were just talking about their LLM days, and it was very nice. But normally there is a tendency to discount, say you have done 3 years of work experience, you go abroad, you come back, they will discount that 1 year off from your seniority. So somebody, say a batchmate of yours has not pursued LLM, and that person has now 4 years of experience, that person will be senior to you. So there is a tendency to discount that 1 year. So it, most likely it will be slashed from your seniority.
So
But again, I mean, sorry.
It'll kind of be a demerit for us if we have done LLM.
No, it depends on how you're looking at it. I mean, I would look at it that, 1 year will not set me back. I'm much prepared to take charge of my career and zoom forward than my batchmate, who has only good experience, but only has stayed here. So even people, 1 or 2 years will not really help a lot. I mean, it does not make a huge difference, but your training abroad can actually help you in a big way in your career.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Abhijit, sometimes on LinkedIn or even Facebook, you see good, interesting, motivating posters. So somebody who is going back is actually not actually going back. He's going back so that he can jump forward.
Jump forward. Yes.
He's getting ready for the jump.
That's right, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, so Abhijit, I don't know whether it was a coincidence, but your namesake and you, both of you, were wearing the same color as well. So, all right, okay. Yes, Abhijit. All right, okay, moving ahead, we have Shivika. Shivika, can you unmute?
Afternoon, sir. Sir, my question is, do you see any specific pros of settling down after an LLM abroad and working there? Like, what are the pros between an Indian working culture system and abroad? Like, do you find any merits in settling down there specifically?
Short answer is this, that the work culture is a lot better. I've worked in India, and I'm not saying this specifically about JSA, which I believe is still better of the lot. But I've heard horror stories, and I'm sure many of you have actually probably experienced that. Some of the people who work in law firms here, or even litigation, they're very good at screaming, and they think that people understand, the juniors understand better if you scream at them. I just don't understand why. And I can tell you, I've lived in Europe for over 8 years. Not once anybody has screamed at me. And it's not like I don't make mistakes. Of course, I make mistakes. Nobody enjoys making mistakes. But it's how I explain it to you that matters. I don't have to scream and tell you that, Shivika, this is not done. Or give you a dressing down in front of your batchmates or other colleagues. It just doesn't make sense. Or throw things at people. I've seen that happening in law firms. So in terms of work culture, it's a lot better. And as much as we are all lawyers, or you all will be lawyers, you're also individuals, and there's so much to explore. Europe, I'm very biased about Europe now. Been here for a long time. There's so much to explore. I mean, because of COVID, you cannot travel these days, but in terms of exploring, in terms of seeing new things, meeting new people, there's too many pros. In fact, a better question would be to what are the cons? Or downsides of not working abroad but coming back? That's easy to answer.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one follow-up question. Did your internships in India, provide any benefit to you while working abroad?
Absolutely, because in my case, since I had did not have any full-time experience, so a lot of, in fact, some of the law firms who invited me for an interview, and unfortunately did not translate into a job, they actually knew those law firms. So somebody knew JSA, or somebody knew Luthra, and they said, we have actually worked with that law firm on some deals. I think you have asked a good question, and I can elaborate on that. See, most of the time when you're taken in at a law firm, you're expected to manage the India desk or be a part of the India desk. And India desk is about both inbound into India and outbound from India. So your relationship with law firms, on the one hand, that is important, and your relationship with corporates is also important. See, and again, this is my personal opinion. When you're working in a law firm, there are two things that are expected of you, especially once you become more senior. A, you're expected to work as a lawyer. That is given. You have to work as a lawyer, be very good at what you do, always learn. B, at some stage, say 5 years down the line, once you start working, or say 7, 8 years, when you start thinking about becoming a partner, you're expected to bring a lot of work to the firm. So your contacts at both law firms, which refer work, or with Indian companies matter a lot. And if you see, that is one reason why even today, I mean, even though the number of Indian lawyers working abroad is increasing, if you see the number of India-born partners at really good law firms is a very small number.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Paridhi, can you unmute? Just a quick update, Abhijit. Paridhi is in the first year, so maybe she has a lot of questions for you.
Have an
Yes.
easy question for me.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Hi, Paridhi.
Hi. Sir, so as I'm a first year and I'm very keen to work abroad in a law firm, so I want to ask you what are the things I have to keep in mind these 5 years so that things will be easy for me at the end?
Good question. So you have to decorate your CV. You have to do everything. Be very good at your grades. I keep giving reference to my discussion with Dr. Ravanli, but he was saying that that it's important to do well in your academics. It's very, very important. But that's not the only thing that you should be focusing on. You need to focus on a very holistic development of your personality. So whether it is internship, whether it is mooting, whether it is research paper, publication, you have to do literally everything. So I know this is college time and you want to have a good time also, you must, but don't lose sight of the fact that you want to pursue your LL.M abroad. So anything and everything in the right direction is good. But what is also important is the quality of what you do. If you can, publication, for instance, is very important. But if you get yourself published in magazines or journals which nobody reads or has heard about, it doesn't matter. I would rather be happy to see 3 publications in good journals than 30 publications in nondescript journals. So, to answer your question, you have to do so many things. And each one should be aimed at in terms of how this particular thing that you're doing is helping you move forward in your dream towards achieving your dream.
Okay. And sir, what are the internships I have to do? Like, should I aim at internships at law firms only, or everything would work?
Everything would never work for everything. You have to understand, I think, since you're in the first year, my suggestion will be that you should do internship at different places. Do an internship at a law firm on the corporate side. Work with some lawyer to understand what litigation is all about. See if somebody who does a lot of arbitration, he or she is able to take you. See if you can do some internship at an NGO. I think that is also will be helpful. All these are aimed at one thing, to help you understand what is the field of law that you want to be in. Because no matter what you think that, oh, I want to be a corporate lawyer, many of us decide that, this is what we want to do before understanding what that role entails. I don't think that even given that you're in the first year, you understand a lot in terms of what is a corporate lawyer that he or she does. So it's important to understand that, and that understanding can come only by interning or interacting with people. You have this great alumni, reach out to them, say that, I want to be like you, I want to get into litigation, I want to do this, talk to them, see what they have to say. That will help you understand what is it that you want to do with your career.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Anvi, can you unmute?
Good afternoon, sir.
Can we have your video mode on as well?
Yes, ma'am. Am I visible now?
Yes, you are.
Absolutely. I am.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you so much. It's been super, super helpful for all of us. So my question pertains mostly about the choice of country. Specifically, so like you talked about earlier that, maybe it's good to have 2-3 years work experience. But if there's a student who wants to go pursue LL.M abroad directly after law school and is also motivated by the fact that they would eventually like to settle, and considering today's times with the economy and COVID and things like that, so what do you think is a good country to consider for a student like that with, a motivation to settle abroad and pursue LL.M straight after college, maybe?
If you have the resources, as in your parents are supporting you in terms of pursuing it, I would today also say go to the US. And again, go to a very good law school in New York or San Francisco or one of the big cities. Do that. Yeah. If resources are constrained and you don't have, say, about 70,000-80,000 that can be spent easily, or take a loan, whatever. If that is an issue in terms of arranging that, come to Europe. come to Germany, go to say Paris, for instance, they have a good program, they have a good law school, or look at the opportunities in Netherlands. When earlier I was saying in terms of looking at opportunities in continental Europe, I think I did not mean all the countries in continental Europe. There are some countries, and I think you guys are all smart enough in terms to understand which countries I'm referring to, where it's good to go go there for holidays, not for education. So it's important. I mean, you have to choose. If you're looking at continental Europe, please only look at countries like France, Netherlands, Switzerland, Germany, of course, and probably that's it. Italy is nice. The food is nice. I'm not sure in terms of how good the law course is. Spain, again, great beaches. But again, I'm not sure again in terms of how good LLM will see. What is important is that one reason it's important to choose the right country is because you would like to work in that country. So a country like Spain or Italy, their economy is not doing very well. In Europe, there is an acronym probably some of you would know. It's called PIGS, PIGS, and that includes Portugal, that includes Greece and Spain and Italy. So these are the countries which are suffering. And if we are, I mean, any of us who wants to be a corporate lawyer, it's the chances of getting a job as a corporate lawyer is always a function of the economy. If the economy is doing well, there are jobs for corporate lawyers, and vice versa. So if you're thinking about working abroad as a corporate lawyer, it's important to choose the right country.
And sir, just as a follow-up, do you think we'll be missing out on something really massive, or are we losing some sort of edge by not pursuing an LLM in the US and as opposed to going to the Europe in the countries which you mentioned would be better countries to study in?
Not the least. There's no one way. I mean, you can work here and maybe say, for instance, you get inducted into an international law firm. They like you a lot. It's always possible to see if they can relocate you to one of their US office. It's absolutely possible. It has happened. For instance, I was giving my example. The firm, I don't know how many of you know the firm that I work with. Orrick is actually a US headquartered firm. We have been in business since 1863, so 150 years plus. We are headquartered in California, and we are actually the second oldest business which continues to work even today. The oldest business is Levi's Jeans. So in the US, we have 700 lawyers across 10 offices. Europe, we have offices in London, Paris, Germany, two offices, Italy, Belgium, Switzerland. Asia, we have offices in China, Japan, Taiwan. So global 1,100 lawyers. And I will myself be relocated from Germany to London this year.
Okay. All right, sir. Thank you, sir.
And it's not like, the only good deals are being done out of the US offices. I mean, even in, in Europe, you do really good deals, especially London. Even though Brexit is happening, it's not the end of London.
Thank you, sir.
Can we have Satvik? Satvik, please unmute.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, Satvik.
Sir, it's been great listening to you, sir. Sir, my question is, sir, what should be the right time for us to apply for LLM abroad if we are if we want to pursue LLM just after our college, that is our graduation?
So the right time to apply for LLM will depend on the deadline for each of the law school that you want to apply to. So if somebody wants an application in December for an academic year starting next year, that is when you have to apply to. So it's important. So each law school will have its own requirements. So I think the important thing for you will be to shortlist the law school that you want to pursue your LLM from, and look at keep a watch out for their deadlines. I think you're on mute. You're on mute.
Sir, also my second question is, sir, being a second year law student, what should I be doing as of now in order to be able to pursue LLM afterwards in my preferred institute?
You are in which year? Sorry, second year.
Second, sir.
Okay, then in that case, I was just telling that girl from the first year, do everything. I mean, do internships, do paper writing, do paper presentation, research paper, get yourself published in good magazines. And in terms of publishing, you don't, sometimes it's good to just help maybe a senior, somebody who's in the third or fourth or fifth year, or somebody who's working from your law school, and see if you can collaborate on co-authoring a particular article. That also helps, because especially some people who are working, they don't have a lot of time in terms of doing the research. That is where you can come into play. And a co-author publication is still a publication.
Right, sir.
You're again on mute, I guess.
No, sir, it's not.
Kritika, he's not audible to me.
Yeah, he's not. Satvik, can you just work on your audio? Do you have an earplug or something?
Yeah, ma'am, now is it clear?
Now you are. Yes, you are. Yeah.
Sir, so how do we build our CV in such a way that we are able to get admissions in a preferred institute, other than what you just said?
Satvik, in my opinion, that's the only thing that you have to do.
Okay.
Work very, very hard. Do internship, do moot competitions. I mean, the important thing, and I think it has to be emphasized, is that the degree that you're pursuing, this is a professional degree.
Right.
This is not a BA, and it should be seen. I mean, discuss with some of your friends who are pursuing MBA, pursuing MBAs, and just see how seriously they are looking at they are pursuing their careers. It's a very demanding, and I hope that you're also trying to, or you plan put a lot of hours in terms of building your career.
Right, sir. Sir, and what kind of internships should be done in order for the same to happen?
All kinds of internships.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Satvik. Anjali, can you unmute? We still can't see you, Anjali. Okay, Abhijit. So I just a quick update about this student. She was my student in the last year also, and she's really interested. My emails, the international cell emails are flooded with her queries on, how to, because she wishes to pursue an LLM, and she wishes to work outside. So since first year, that has been her consistent effort. So I think you'd be able to guide her.
Good afternoon, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Sir, my query was like, as ma'am told you earlier, that I have been looking in this field since 1 year now. So, some days ago, I came across a professional. So he told me that pursuing LLM after LLB is something that is going mainstream. But now, as a future prospect, because I will be completing my LLB in 2024, it is also advisable to pursue MBA rather than LLB if you want to go a good corporate. So what's your take on that? Like, do you think will that be helpful, or LLM is still like a better option than MBA?
No, no, that is actually an interesting option to pursue. And I can tell you this much, that many of the programs in the US are actually designed as LLB and MBA. So, I mean, you don't have LLB in the US, for instance, they have JD, that is the bachelor's. So it's JD MBA. So normal JD course will be for 3 years. So combined JD MBA course is for 4 years. Yeah, to answer your question, I think it's helpful, and it can help you open doors which might not be open to you because you're just a lawyer. And even if you do your MBA, post your LLB, and you do not want to pursue yourself in the MBA field, you want to stick to the legal field, the kind of understanding that you would have, the ability to understand or focus on the larger picture will help you a lot in terms of doing well at wherever you are working.
And so, secondly, you were telling about these scholarships and if colleges that provide like Harvard or Oxford, they do give scholarships and everything. But do you have any idea that how should one prepare for them? Like there are SOPs, there are interactive sessions, GDs. So in your opinion, what is a good approach to crack these?
I think a good approach to crack these is to do a lot of research in terms of what you're writing. I always think writing a 250 page, 250 words of SOP is much more difficult than writing, say, 1000, because you have to condense all your thoughts into those 250 words, and those thoughts have to resonate with the person who is reading it. So one thing that in terms of preparing is that you have to start much in advance. Writing 250 words is not something that you can do in, say, 1 week. Spend at least a month, if not longer, on that. Reflect on your thought, read more, discuss more, and then put it in writing. I think one relating, somewhat related topic that I should highlight is that, when I was a law student, I also pursued a summer course in France. And thankfully, I got some scholarship and it was almost free. So that is something that you guys who amongst you are thinking about pursuing LLM abroad and a career abroad should do. Most of the law schools, many of the international organizations provide 1 month of summer programs. And these could be in very interesting countries. I went to a city in France called Strasbourg, beautiful town, very small. And what was also interesting is that, the first time ever that I went to Germany was on my feet, because from Strasbourg, you could walk into Germany. It's on the border. So summer programs is very helpful. And I know that summer programs are pursued by even practicing lawyers, law students, and people who are teaching. So when I was there doing my summer program, there was a teacher from my law faculty who was also doing that summer program. So it's something that you should definitely consider. And again, the whole idea, if you were to do a summer program, and since you're very serious about pursuing LLM, if you do that summer program and you meet a lot of people, you can justify that you want to do LLM because you've had some exposure abroad and you like it so much and you think that it will make a huge difference in terms of career if you do that LLM from that good law school.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for your insights.
My pleasure.
Yashashri, can you unmute? Just a quick update also about the rules of SIU, Abhijit. We do have summer programs, like we have tie-up with a number of institutions, and we give that opportunity to our students, be it summer schools or be it semester exchange programs. So of course they get some fee waiver and sometimes entire fee waiver also. All right.
Oh, nice.
Yes, Yashashri.
Hello, Abhijit. Hi, good afternoon. So, my question is basically that for someone who does not want to stick purely to the legal field or, transition a little in the financial field, is it advisable to take do an LLM which would focus more on the legal subjects or legal aspects, or do a combined degree like an MSc in law and finance, which can give you option to take up more financial subjects?
Absolutely the latter. If you do a MSc in law and finance, you're keeping your doors open for pursuing career in law, but also opening new doors which would have not been available to you. So whether you choose to do a MSc in law and finance, I think Oxford offers a new course in that. It's been around for a few years. That's something that you can look at, or even MBA. That's something that you can consider. I think it's important to think out of the box. I know it sounds very cliched, but it's good to do that because it definitely gives an impetus to your career. My elder brother is also a lawyer, and he's himself done his MBA from France.
And so, like, one more thing that, a lot of universities also offer a 1+1. Am I audible?
Yes.
Right. So a lot of universities also offer a 1+1 program where you can do your master's along with the MBA. So that is definitely a lot of investment in terms of money as well and time as well. So how useful is it in the longer run when you go in the industry?
Simple answer in Hindi is kar sakte to kar lo. I mean, if it is possible for you to pursue both LLM and MBA, one each, and spend a lot of money, do it. I think it will be a good investment. I always feel that if you're spending money on your career education, it's not an expenditure. I look at it as an investment. Believe me, it will give you a lot of returns if you do it the right way.
Right. Thank you so much.
Put a lot of value or importance in terms of where you're pursuing it from. LLM, MBA, these are all nice things, but unless you do it from a very good law school, it will be difficult.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, Nilay, can you unmute? Now, Abhijit, I think during lockdown, Nilay had this interest in international criminal law and human rights law. And I remember having conversations with him. So let's hope that it is still there. Maybe it has changed to corporate law. Yes, Nilay, can you unmute?
Hello. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, you're not visible, Nilay. Can you just open your video mode also?
Just a second, ma'am.
Yeah.
Am I visible, ma'am?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. Hi.
So, hi, good afternoon, sir. So, my question is actually related to I'm more interested in pursuing LLM and working abroad in the European country, especially. And I'm more interested in the UK and Netherlands and Norway. So, sir, actually, I'm not very from a well-off family, and it's kind of difficult for me to afford a LLM from a foreign university. So, what is the scope of getting scholarships in European universities?
I think, Nilay, you will improve your chances for getting a scholarship by having a very good CV. And that includes, if possible, some years of work experience in India, good places and all that. And I can tell you, I can kind of relate to your problems because even my background, I come from a very humble background. And I also did not have the luxury of a lot of money. And I had to take a big loan to fund my education for LLM. And all that has been repaid. Thankfully, with God's grace. But yeah, I mean, if you want to improve your chances of getting a scholarship, work hard during your law school days and also work for a few years before you apply for your LLM. Because purely, if you want to do LLM right after LLB, which I did, I think your chances are very low and it's almost like next to impossible to get scholarship. I mean, it's still possible, everything is possible. But in terms of probability, you'll have a lower probability if you pursue it now.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yoga, can you unmute?
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi.
Sir, I have this question, sir. Many of these students have, going for the say like USA and Europe. Sir, I've recently looked at some Asian countries are coming out with good LLM programs in the field of intellectual property law. What is your take on this, sir? And is it worth applying for it?
I mean, Asia is too big. Which countries are you referring to?
Say like Hong Kong, Singapore, and then also India. Also, they are coming up with decent programs with LLMs in intellectual property. So, what's your take on this? And it's worth applying there.
I think it's important, wherever you're applying, whether it is Hong Kong or Singapore, Japan. I mean, it's something that you can look at. It's important to see the track record of that law school. It's important to interact with people who have passed out from that law school and see what is it that they're doing. And try to understand how much a role that LLM degree or whatever degree that they pursued is helping them in wherever they are. If that answer is positive, I think it's worth applying. I mean, Singapore has good universities. I know a lot of people who have done well after doing LLM from Singapore. I'm not so sure about Hong Kong, and with the current crisis that thanks to Chinese government, I think I'm not very sure if going to Hong Kong for LLM is a very good idea.
Okay, sir. And one more thing, sir. One last question. Say like one doesn't have a good CV, say like mine, and one who has not done any prior moot experience or was done
Which
just like
yoga.
Pardon?
Which year are you in?
So I'm in 5th year, sir. So say someone who was just relied upon his internship. What is your advice upon it, sir? So how can I, improve my perspectives of getting into a good foreign LLM?
For that, yoga, you should try and work at good law firms. If the idea is to pursue LLM in corporate law or any field for that matter, in that field, pursue and work at least 3 years or 2 years at a good law firm. Because if your CV is not good as yet, you have to make it you have to make it attractive. And believe me, each place where you will be applying to, in terms of LLM and also post LLM looking for a job, they get hundreds of applications. So your application must stand out for you to get a chance to study or at a law firm work.
Thank you so much, sir.
Amira, can you unmute?
Good afternoon, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
First of all, thank you for answering all our questions so patiently. I'm still new to the idea of LLM, so I wanted to ask you what are the factors I should take into consideration before deciding whether I should pursue an LLM also or not, sir?
Sorry, say that again, Amira.
Sir, I'm still new to the idea of pursuing LLM. So what is your advice or the factors I should take into consideration before deciding whether I should do an LLM or not, sir?
I think the best thing to do is to ask yourself or discuss this with others or friends, family, etc. Why is it that you want to do an LLM? Unless until you are clear about it, the lack of clarity will also appear in your SOP. That lack of clarity will also bother you when you are pursuing LLM. I think once you have that answer, I mean, in my case, it was very simple that I wanted to work abroad. Work at a top law firm abroad on Wall Street, have a fake accent by now. But you have to understand what is it that you want this for. If you have that, I think it will help you a lot. And the fact that you are on this session, that shows that you're trying to get some clarity on that.
Yes, thank you, sir.
Ridhima, can you unmute?
Ritika, what was the limit of questions I had said that I'll answer? Of course, kidding.
Right. No, your call again. Abhijit.
No, bring it on. I like
Okay.
talking.
Yes. So Ridhima, I think she also has interest in pursuing LLM abroad, and she has been very consistent about it. She used to visit my chamber very often. So of course, yes, Ridhima, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Abhijit. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Ridhima. Thanks. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for an insightful session. So my main confusion arises upon deciding as to what country should I choose and what college should I choose. So I know what course I want to do, but I always get confused between which is the best like law college to pursue it, and which would be the best country to like stay back and gain experience over there, because we have a lot of universities rankings and everything on Google, but I don't really know which one is the most reliable, or how do we search about that. So if you could tell us about that a bit.
What is the field that you want?
I wanted to pursue intellectual property laws.
So for intellectual property law, I can tell you that there are a couple of good law schools in Germany itself that you can consider. I would have normally also suggested UK, but with the Brexit and more importantly the visa situation, and given the fact that you spend a lot of money to study in UK, I would not say it's a good idea. I would recommend USA. If the tuition fee and all that is not much for you and it's something that you can arrange. US is very good because they take their IPR laws very, very seriously. In fact, probably that strengthens what I'm trying to say is because as a firm for us also, we have a very strong IPR practice, especially the litigation side. We do a lot of litigation.
Thank you, sir. I remember you advising me a while earlier on the same as to working in Germany.
Right? LinkedIn, you contacted.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I had contacted you for some help. So what about Singapore? Because I've recently been researching upon the National University Singapore's course, which looks like a good option. And I tried to contact a few alumni of the same.
National University Singapore is excellent. It's not just good, it's excellent. And if you're able to get there, good place. Because Singapore itself is a good country and it has a very good economy, and the way they have handled COVID is also very admirable.
Yes.
But equally important is that many of the foreign law firms are also there, and I'm sure that the idea must be that once you do your IPR thing, you would like to work abroad for some years.
Yes.
And the fact that you have so many foreign law firms in Singapore, I think makes your chance higher, or probability is higher that you will be able to get a job there.
Right.
And
one more confusion which arises is that, for example, I pursue my LLM from Singapore, but somewhere down the line, I don't see myself working there 10 years down the line. I somewhere see myself working either in Europe or in UK. So I was a little confused if that would be of help to me.
See, everything is possible. Okay, so it's
Right.
possible to work in Singapore and then move to Europe, but it's always a question of probability. How high are your chances of working, doing your course from Singapore and moving to Europe? If your case, if you are clear in your head that you really want to be in Europe, then why spend your time in Singapore?
Because yeah, I understand your point, but it was because of the course, because I'm not so sure of the best courses in Europe. Like I said, there are a lot of opinions about people I read, but I don't really know which one is the best option to pursue. Like what are the best colleges to see and apply to?
Make it easy. Make it easy. Apply for to Singapore. Apply to some places, good law schools in Europe, and see what offer they make. In terms of the course, the content of the course, and also the scholarships. So sometimes that can be the deciding factor that, if you get a lot of scholarship in, say, Germany or Netherlands, that should help you take the decision.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, Shobit, can you unmute?
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir.
Abhijit, Shobit, yes, you are. Shobit has done his, semester exchange program at Berlin School of Economics, Law and Economics, in 2019 with the DAD scholarship as well.
No, but do you speak German now?
Hello, sir. Your voice was not audible.
No, Shobit, I was asking, do you speak German, having done your summer course abroad in
Yes,
Germany?
I'm till A2. So but I'm interested to learn more, and I'm even pursuing
Deutsch sprechen.
Sorry.
Wir können Deutsch sprechen.
Can you repeat? I can't. It seems.
Sprichst du Deutsch?
Ja, ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch.
Okay. So what's your question?
Sir, my question is, are there any challenges if we graduate from a common law jurisdiction and then pursue masters from civil law jurisdiction?
There is indeed a challenge. Because it's a different, system. But the way I have seen, a lot of people, what they do is that they do their LLM from, say, Germany, and then they start doing their qualification exam in the UK. So you will be qualified in India, of course, and then you can get the added qualification from UK. And the fact that you have studied in Germany will also make your CV a lot more attractive. But yes, there is definitely a challenge because, it's a different legal system.
So because my interest lies as working in an in-house company as a lawyer. So how would be the job market if I pursue my LLM from Germany?
No, there is a good chance because, as I said, and good to know that you want to work in-house because it's good to have that clarity. Many, and I was saying this earlier in the session, is that many of the, international companies, the German company, there are about 1,800 German companies right now in India. And many of the legal function is actually based in Germany and not in India. So there is a good chance that you might be working there. For instance, I know somebody who did her LLM from Frankfurt in Germany, and then now she's working with Mercedes.
Okay.
So it is absolutely possible, and especially these companies which have exposure to India, they'll value somebody with the legal background.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for the insightful session.
My pleasure, sir.
Shivani Sharma, can you unmute?
Good afternoon, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you
So I'm a second year student learner. So I have a doubt. Basically, last year I had a conversation with my dad's colleague. He was a lawyer in Gate India Limited. So he told me that if you want to be a corporate lawyer, that you should always keen to understand what's your interest, and you should pursue LLM after you you're done with your graduation. And after I think a few months back, I had a conversation with another professional on the same company, and he told me, Shivani, you should do your LLM before from your Canada and US. So I just want to be very confused about it. What should I do? Because I think it's really very confusing for me when I had different opinions on the same subjects. So how should I pursue to it? I'm really confused about it. Can you please help?
Which year are you in, Shivani?
So I'm in second year.
Second year. Then it's okay to be confused because it's still early days, and jitni log utne rai. The more people you talk, the different opinions you will get, and each one will speak with certain experience. Given today, I would recommend that you should have at least some years of experience because the world has changed, and it will take many years for it to be normal again. Go back to the pre-COVID area. And unless the economy is robust and strong and doing well, the chances of getting absorbed at an international law firm post to LLM is very low. So, and working and then doing LLM is also helpful because you know exactly which field you want to specialize in. Like for me, I was always clear somehow, and I still don't regret that I wanted to be a corporate lawyer. So if you're working and you think that competition law is a good thing, that you should specialize in competition law for your LLM. In terms of the country, I think, again, it depends. More important than the country, I think it's the choice of the law school. When you say, somebody said I should go to Canada, where, which law school? You have to be more specific, and for that, you need to spend more time, do your research, talk to more people. And of course, you talk to many people, the risk is that you will confuse yourself.
Yes.
But again, you can take all the inputs from everyone around you, but ultimately it's your own thinking, it's your conviction about pursuing something that, will make sense for you.
So, sir, I have another doubt on the same ground as well.
You said you have one doubt.
Yes, sir. It just arise out of this question.
Oh.
Yes, sir. So, sir, basically, yes, you said that if you are pursuing MBA after you graduate from your college, then it will be a good experience for it. So, don't you think it can be work as a backdrop for it? Because for 3 years, I think that grab the mood which are we in a legal firms, it totally gone away, and we are just going into a different style as ultimately, sir. Automatically and ultimately.
That is one perspective, but Shivani, I look at it from a different perspective. I see that, as a lawyer also, when I'm advising a client, okay, if I understand the business that person is in, then I'm able to give him much better advice. A client doesn't come to us just to understand the law. They can read the law for free on the internet. They come to us to seek advice, to get solution. And I can give solution only if I understand exactly what he or she is doing or what the company is doing. And I'm not saying that just because you do an MBA and you have the perfect understanding about everything, but it enhances your understanding. It gives me that edge. It gives me probably a better grasp of what this guy is trying to achieve. And in terms of perception also, when I'm telling my client that, apart from doing my LLB, I also did my MBA from a fantastic business school, that shows that probably on the face of it, I'm quite smart and I'm keen to be a better advisor.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir.
My pleasure, Shivani.
Thank you so much, sir. Good to speak to you, sir.
Abhijit, I think this has been by far one of our most interactive sessions because the questions are still coming. So should we take another question?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. Yes, Apekshit, can you unmute?
This is why I was saying that this is so much better than having a monologue where what I'm saying might not be useful to many people. This is much more specific.
Right. Yes, Apekshit, please unmute.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma'am. Sir, my question is that what is the scope of practice in foreign countries in some other field, let's say criminal law or any other field?
It is possible, but again, in terms of probability, it's much more difficult. And I say that because most of the hiring of Indian lawyers abroad, most of it happens in corporate field because, in terms of the size of the firm, the corporate practice is the biggest. And these are general answers, And then the other field where I see of late some hiring is in the arbitration side, not litigation, but arbitration. But having said that, it is still possible, but it's in terms of percentage, a very small percentage of people who get into criminal litigation.
Okay, Prishita, can you unmute? So Abhijit, Prishita has, interest again pursuing LLM abroad. She has done a semester exchange program also, and recently she also did, 1 or 2 certificate course by Penn State Law. So yes, Prishita, go ahead.
Thank you, Kritika ma'am, for the introduction, and good afternoon, Abhijit sir. It's been a wonderful session, and it's great listening to you again. I actually came across on recommendation by a certain professional a course which combines intellectual property and management as masters from a German university. So I wanted to know how good that would actually come out to be, because
Combination of what, Prishita?
it's a combination of intellectual property and management. So it has certain aspects. It's Potsdam University, sir. So it offers an amalgamation of, I think, intellectual property laws and a few business subjects as well.
And
So
is it a new course? Is this a new course?
I believe so, sir, because on their listing, when I was going through the Potsdam University catalog, they've listed this, and there is another one which actually combines media and technology. So this one caught my interest, and I actually wanted to know how good that would come out to be, because it's
So
an
Prishita,
interesting opportunity.
It is interesting indeed. In principle, it seems interesting. The risk of a new course is that we do not know how the industry is going to react to the people who are coming out of this course.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. And the second thing is that you cannot speak to, I mean, if it is a brand new course, you cannot even speak to people who have taken that course and see, what the course was. I mean, on the face of it, it looks fine. But the other side is that, what is the worst case scenario? You do a course, what happens? I mean, you learn something about IPR, you learn something about management. I think it will still be a good experience. And
Right, sir.
German economy, I'm probably a bit biased about Germany, but if you see the German economy, even before Brexit, was the largest economy in Europe, and post Brexit it will become even more strong.
Mhm.
So if you are doing something from Germany, if that law school has been around for some years, you're probably doing the right thing. And I'm assuming that the course fee is not very high.
It isn't as much. It's an LLM though. It's a master's in law, but it has a few nuances of management subjects, which is why it seemed like a very interesting option. And I just wanted to ask
That
it.
sounds interesting. That sounds
Right, right, sir. All right, thank you.
So anyone else? Any questions so far? Okay, we still have one more question. Varalika, was it? Can you unmute? Or did you raise your hand by mistake? Okay,
Hello. I'm sorry, ma'am, that actually happened by mistake. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. It's okay. Anyone else? Any question? Yes, Mriganka.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, Mr. Abhijit. Am I visible? Am I audible?
Are visible and audible both.
Okay, sir. I mean, my question is that how important are languages when you're working in some European country? Like, I mean, I have studied German for a few years at my school, so I can speak a bit of German. But if I am to work in a probably a law firm or even do an LLM from maybe France, then how important is the language? Or if you're working in a firm there, then is that specific language like German or French or even Italian, is it very important to know all those languages, or you can do with just the knowledge of English?
You can just do with the knowledge of English, but if you learn the language, it will improve your chances of not only having a good time during your LLM in terms of understanding, getting a job, but also in terms of doing well in that job. A lot of time our thinking is all around getting into LLM or getting into a good law firm. But I think equally important is the fact that what happens next once you get into a law firm. You want to do really well, rise, you don't get promotion and get salary hikes and all that. If you know the language, say for instance, especially I think the French people take the language very seriously. It's important for them to, it's like a respect to their culture if you know the language. German people, in comparison, are a lot more forgiving. They're like us. So even if you speak bad German, they think that you have done the right thing because you're at least making an attempt to learn, which is probably a difficult language. German language is very grammar intensive, as you may have realized during your time of learning it. So no, I mean, it's very important, and I can tell you that when I first came to Germany, I probably knew 2 or 3 words, and thankfully I still had a job. But I was reminded so many times to pursue this course. So I did a 11-month course, and I don't still have a very high level. I have a B1 level in German, but it's very, very helpful. And it helps to live in the country. It helps to talk to potential clients or existing clients in that language. And Germans or even French people, they really like talking in their language. And in any case, if say tomorrow you learn that language, you work there for some time, you come back to India, even that will help because you will be dealing a lot with German companies, or you will be dealing a lot with the French company. Look at the number of German companies and French companies in India today. And that, say for instance, you are working with say Shardula Merchant and you speak that language. Each of the big law firms today in India have dedicated French desk, German desk, China desk, Japan desk, etc. You can be a part of that. And that will again help you in your growth in that law firm.
Vielen Dank. Thank you.
Bitte schön.
All right, so Jeel, so probably I think this is the last question for the day, Abhijit. So yes, Jeel.
Hi, Abhijit. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Yeah. So I just had one question, although most of my questions have been answered. What's your take on Canada as a country to pursue LLM? I mean, the PR and the courses there are pretty decent and it's not very expensive. So what's your take on Canada as a country to pursue LLM and then probably work for a while there?
Absolutely good idea. I mean, as long as you're going to one of the top law schools there are quite a few of them. Given the the low fees, the chances of getting a PR status and all that, I think it makes a lot of sense. I think the only downside is that the weather is too cold. But other than that, I mean, that's something that you can live with anyway because everything is centrally heated. I think it's a good choice. Canada is a good place to pursue studies. I actually know a bunch of lawyers who are doing reasonably okay there.
Okay. Just one follow-up. How would you compare that? How would you compare Canada with UK, as in terms of future prospects?
That's a difficult one. I think the English people, they're very resilient. They're dealing with COVID right now. They're dealing with the public outrage at Brexit, and everyone is blaming why they did Brexit and all that. But the fact that they are very resilient and they don't give up, they're very optimistic and charged up people. So from a long-term perspective, UK will come back. And I can tell you that even with Brexit and all happening, it will not mean that London will lose all its sheen. I mean, I can give you my own example. I mean, even though Brexit has happened, COVID has impacted the UK a lot more than it has impacted Germany for different reasons. I'm still thinking that it's the right decision for me to move to the UK right now. I think, in terms of comparison, Canada and UK, it's also about comparing, say, North America with Europe. I personally like Europe for, good food, great places to explore and all that, other than just purely professional reasons.
Right.
And I also like the other thing that I like about being in Europe is that it's much closer home, so I can fly down to India in 8 hours than from Canada or any part of the US. The fastest from Canada or US you can travel to India is 16 hours.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yes, students, anyone has any other doubt? Right. So, Abhijit, we won't let you go before sharing, iconic, let's say, Empire State Building story or any story of your LLM or, your work life that you would like to share with the students. Anything that you wish to.
I don't know if it was iconic or something very interesting, but the funny thing that used to happen with me during my New York Times on time in New York Times, is the fact that when I went there, I never used to drink until that time, and what used to happen is that for many of the events that would happen, we'll get passes to go to a bar and hang out there and drink, and even I'll get a one coupon or whatever it is slip to get at least a couple of free drinks. And what used to happen is because people knew that I don't drink, they would snatch my that chit of paper and buy me orange juice. So that used to happen a lot, and that is why when I decided to move to Germany, I thought it would be good to blend in and started in moderate quantity, consuming a little bit of wine. One more.
Yeah.
When I was in New York, this is 2007, 2008, so long time back. I had a good time campaigning for Hillary Clinton, and I blame Barack Obama for winning that election, because not only I had campaigned for Hillary Clinton, I even had the opportunity of taking a picture. And I always thought that as and when she becomes the president, I'll be able to post it on Facebook and probably get maybe 300, 400 likes. So that did not happen. And what was the funny thing was that, Barack Obama, the campus of New York University is in New York City, in Manhattan. And Barack Obama had literally come to the next door big power, and he was meeting a lot of people, but not many had given him the chance that he'll become the president, not one term, but 2 terms. And there was a chance to have a proper interaction with him, which I let go. So interesting times.
I'm sure you'll meet, maybe Kamala Harris very soon, given our background also. So, all right, yes, Abhijit, thank you so much for this session. And I think it was one of the most interactive sessions because the students were free to, they had a lot of doubts, and I think they were, very, they were very upfront about it with you. And it's very rare that, they're very upfront with the resource person. And of course, the credit goes to you, sir, because again, I'm saying, sir, it just comes out. I'm so sorry. I worked with judges, so I even used to call them lordship. So I have come a far way from referring to them as lordship. So yeah. So of course, yes, Abhijit, and I think a number of questions, with respect to LLM, with respect to corporate law, has been answered by you, and the students have really gained from this experience. So thank you so much, Abhijit. Yes, Director sir, can we have you?
So thank you very much, Mr. Abhijit. It was, as rightfully Ms. Kritika said, I just would like to say or make 2 statements. That it's good that everybody or many would like to pursue LLM, would like to settle abroad. So generally the questions were, how do we begin, or what should we have, and etc. But I can just say that what you should not have, first, that you should not become an academic tourist. You're not going there for tourism. And if you have that idea in your mind, please save that money and earn the interest on that money when you deposit it in the bank. And point number 2, become a traveler. Don't become a tourist, even if you settle there, because traveler reaches the places where mind also does not dare reach. So please remember this, that you become a traveler. So when you become a traveler, what does it mean? You acclimatize with the environment you will be in. Please understand the people you are in. Please know the culture they have to offer. Instead of saying it happens in India, what does it happen here? Don't compare. Please acclimatize. That's the right word which always has been told to me. Acclimatize. So, you will grow multifold. But the moment you start making comparisons, the moment you start making, oh, this is this, that is that. Look, what you have in India, you have it in India. Even in India, what you have in your town, you may not have it in Noida. So please stop doing that. And the best thing is that keep on learning. And that definitely will. There was one interesting question like, should we do it? Now, I have experience of doing LLM in India and as well as abroad. But please remember, the thought was not to gain something else. But when I did first LLM, that was in India, I must tell you what I did not learn in 3 years in a law school, I could learn in my first post-graduation in law, that in University of Pune. Because the way they made me think, that is one thing. Number of courses were less, but for every day we were having a tutorial. Tutorial was not mugging up. Questions were fired at us and we were asked to give our original thought to that. So, it made us think instantly. Like, this is a question, how would you approach it? So it always kept us going, and we all used to. We were just 13 students in LLM, but all 13 of us used to be together, all the time discussing one or the other matter, not law only. And the second LLM I did because I wanted to have that experience as well. Of course, it was back of the mind that I'll work there, I'll do this and etc. But I did not go for the institution. That was my personal choice, but I went for a professor because I was reading about his writings and I thought that he is the right person I would like to study under. But please remember, my first post-graduation was 95, 97 and second was 2003, 2004. So I went there with the experience and that too into academics. So how did it help me? The moment I entered into the law school, within 1 month, I was also taken for their training programs and they did not charge me. So, and then for the next batches, I also became the mentor. So I was taking some sessions as well. I was doing my LLM. At the same time, I was trained and I was delivering few sessions in the university as well. So that's where the prior experience helps you. That helped me in my case. That is my take, as Mr. Abhijit also said, that, go with some experience, because right now, many people feel that this is the area I would like to do. But in that, if you practice, you get to know about that specialization of that area of interest wherein there is work, but there is no person who has earned that information which you can turn into a knowledge. So you also can think about LLM that way. And as rightfully Mr. Ravi said, what is that course you would like to do? Accordingly, you figure out the university. And when you figure out the university, look for the places wherein the industry is around to support that kind of learning. So, these are the things which will assist you. So thank you very much, Mr. Abhijit. It was my pleasure. It was one of the fantastic sessions. And as because some of you must have learned that Akash, who asked a question, Akash J from 5th year, he was part of the team which won the moot court competition organized by the Gujarat National Law University. I remember Akash, then there was another Ananya. I don't remember the third student here, but 3 of them, but they earned that opportunity. Please understand, they performed better, they won the competition and they won the internship. So they have this opportunity to be at this international organization. And please, I hope you all have listened to and remember, you can recall this, that it is one of the oldest, rather the oldest firm. So you can see the experience the firm has. And there these students have learnt it. Yes, Megha ma'am, what was the name of the other student? Rakesh ji? Megha
She
ma'am?
is Anushka Agarwal from 4th year.
Yeah,
Anushka Agarwal from 4th year.
Anushka Agarwal from 4th year. So 3 of them would be doing it. So ladies and gentlemen, so every activity assists you, every activity not only brings learning, but it brings more earnings to you as well. So you may earn it in different form. So they have earned it. So thank you very much, Mr. Abhijit, for the session, and you agreed to deliver the session, though you were in India for a short time.